Hello and welcome to the Reykjavík Grapevine's newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm the editor-in-chief at the Reykjavík Grapevine. This cute little dog here is the true star of the show. Cody? This is, of course, Polly, my chief of morale officer. As you can see, she can always make you laugh in one way or another, as long as you throw a ball for her. That's the rule. Yeah. Now, we have pretty serious news today, but I'm gonna start with an advertisement. I want to tell you about the titans of Icelandic photography combined in a discount box in our Grapevine store with two true classics, Faces of the North by Rax. Rax is truly a titan when it comes to photography in Iceland. He has probably one of the most famous photo book that you can find in Iceland, and he also been a lot in Greenland, and those pictures are absolutely insane. And then we have Planet Iceland by Sigurgeir Sigurjónsson, which is one of our mostly skilled landscape photographers, and these men somehow managed to make Iceland look not only beautiful, but completely otherworldly. It's insane. So, if you want this, as always, of course, join our High Five Club, support the journalism, get discounts in our shop and tours, and get the latest issue sent straight to your email. If you want to know more about this, there's a link down there. Check it out. And if you want something beautiful, I think it's good for the winter. You can see how beautiful Iceland can be, and just the winter in itself. So, into the news, Polly, right? Let's go. First news, actually, I started telling you this in my last newscast. And in the last newscast, I was explaining this guy that was arrested, and they thought that he was actually printing weapons, 3D guns. Now, I also told you that there would be a press meeting with the police the same day. Of course, we are always competing with times. We didn't have time to wait for it. Also, it wasn't even a time when we were talking about the news. But they held the press meeting on last Thursday, and they said that for the first time in Icelandic history, they had unfoiled a terrorist plot in Iceland. This was also heavily reported in most medias in the world, no matter what that would be, like in the UK or the US. I'm not so sure about other countries, but I'm guessing France, Germany, and so on would have done the same thing, because this felt like quite a historic moment, like in a very negative way, that is. Of course, terrorism is nothing new. We've been in this terrorist situation, war, since 2001, my generation knows very well, and everybody, of course. I've more or less grown up in this atmosphere. But Iceland has never been an issue when it comes to anything, like when it comes to terrorism. The reason is fairly simple. We weren't that diverse as a nation, so Islamic terrorism was never really a threat in Iceland. Also, when this came up, we saw immediately from the photos or footage of these men that were arrested that they were white. Meaning it's probably connected to alt-right, like fascism, neo-Nazism, and so on. It's all more or less the same in my mind. But just to explain a little bit better, it was on Wednesday last week that 4 men were arrested. Two of them were arrested. One was arrested in Mosfellsbær, a town very close by here, and the other one was arrested in Kópavogur. They did house. What do you call it? Sorry. When they found a lot of weapons in 2 houses that they were looking into. and these were automatic rifles, there were 3 printed guns, and so on. Not only that, like the day after the arrest, 2 of these men, they were let go, but 2 of them have been detained, one for 1 week and the other one for 2 weeks. Both of these men are 28 years old. One of them actually is, because he has been named in some media, I'm not going to name him here though, but he actually lives in this neighborhood, which this forest here is part of. Now, what happened is that one of these men, he was arrested a few weeks ago, and he was detained for some days, and when he was let go, it seems that the police intercepted a conversation between him and the second man that is detained now, and in this conversation, the word mass murder or massacre came up. Now, in Icelandic, this word is fjöldamorð. That would be mass murder in direct translation, but massacre is probably the word that should be used here. Now, the police went and arrested the man again immediately when they heard this, knowing that he had a lot of guns. Now, the police, the day after the police arrested this man, they held this press meeting, which is more or less the most controversial thing right now. In this press meeting, the police, the 3 of them, investigators and directors of the police, they said that they have arrested 2 men, that detained 2 men. They were suspects in a terrorist plot that was aimed to against the police. It seems that the man, it's all very unclear, that one of the men was thinking about going and kill police officers at this police ball. Also was supposed to be held in this town, in this neighborhood here in Grafarvogur. Now, they also said that there were evidence that they would actually that these attacks were also, they were focusing on the parliament also. But there are nothing that points out that that is the case. Nothing has been leaked out in the media or anything like that. So, is this, like, the thing is, Icelanders, like journalists, asked immediately, are we talking about that these guys are connected somehow to extremities to the far right and some known extreme associations, whatever they would be? The police said that they are investigating it, but they claimed that they found actually Anders Breivik's manifesto in one of these computers of the man that is the main suspect, which is from this neighborhood over here. Now, it's not uncommon actually that a young man might have this this manifesto. As a journalist, I even have it in my computer. It doesn't really say much, but it might give indication that there are some connections with extremities to the right, or that people are like very that they are fascinating somehow by these ideas. But it's unclear now. Now, just to make things even a little bit murkier, is this a terrorist plot? The thing is, of course, the ideas about a terrorist plot is fairly simple. You have to have political extremist ideas about things and to be ready to act out on that stuff. So what happened here is that there is nothing that actually indicates that these men are some political extremists. So I met an old friend. Let's cut a little bit. Hvað segirðu? Hey. Now, at the press meeting on Thursday, the police were asked if the man had any connection to any terrorist organization, and they said they were investigating it. They're not sure. But here's the thing: the prime suspect's lawyer has said that the man denies completely all of this. Naturally so, perhaps, I don't know. But the thing is that it feels far-fetched right now, and Icelanders are not that convinced that the police are assessing the situation completely correct. And therefore, the police have actually announced that they will have another press meeting tomorrow on Wednesday, where they will go over this even better. Now, like always probably happens, and this is of course, keep in mind, new territories for Icelanders in some ways, politicians are also doing odd stuff. First of all, when this came up, the Minister of Justice, he was saying that the police really need this preemptive tools for investigation, something that Icelanders are not very keen on, because this is like the Patriot Act in the US, I guess, which is basically they can investigate whoever without any any suspect of that the individual is going to commit a crime or not, which is obviously like you're cutting down the human rights or the freedom of the individual with this. And Icelanders are very private often when it comes to these laws, and therefore it never flies. We are a little bit behind many other like law enforcement offices, offices in the Scandinavian countries and obviously the US and so on. And the reason is because we don't like these laws. They never get passed. But the Ministry of Justice, he actually decided to go all in and go for this. Let's go here. And of course the Pirate Party, which is very much for the freedom of a lot of things, but they're also very much for the freedom of us to have human rights, as well as what to say, like privacy. So the Pirate Party has criticized the Ministry of Justice heavily for politicizing the situation, using the fear to present a bill like this the day after we had news about these alleged attack that was about to happen. So the thing is, of course, that like journalists and others alike, they have said that there are a lot of odd things happening here. For example, the what do you call it? Like a political scientists, they say if it's true that these men were somehow closely connected to the alt-right, then attacking the police would be for the first time in the like as a main terrorist act in the Western Europe probably, because the alt-right seems to be very fond of the police, and they are more frustrated when it comes to, for example, immigrants and so on. So it doesn't rhyme well with anything. Journalists are saying also that that it's like the press meeting was perhaps a bit too soon, to be honest. The press meeting was held the day after. They said immediately that there was a terrorist plot. They use phrases like Iceland is safer now than it was yesterday, which is, in my mind, a bit silly, to be honest. I mean, it's always like that when you arrest someone, right? But if this was truly a terrorist plot, then sure, I understand where they're coming from. But there is absolutely nothing that indicates that this was actually a terrorist plot. That's the odd thing. But perhaps they have more evidence and they will present it tomorrow. But right now, Icelanders are not buying this. They think that the police is going too far with this. Even the lawyer of this man, he says that the man has been very cooperative. He has given them access to all of his computers, his computer as well as his phone and so on. And he said it's very simple to prove and show that this man is not extremist. Also, journalists, of course, know who this man is, and they have been calling families and friends of his, and they all say that one of them just said it's ludicrous to think that this man has some extreme ideology. It seems like this man is far from being political in any sense. So not even like I'm probably more political than he is. If we should take these, if we should believe this, I mean, perhaps it could be that he's been hiding it, and I mean, everything is up for grabs here right now. But tomorrow we will see how the situation is, and I will tell you more about it on Thursday. But what's important to know here is that Icelanders Oh, check it. It's a crab here. It's a lot of, because this is of course just connected to the ocean. We can find a lot of nice things here, I guess. Yeah, but what's important here is to keep in mind, Icelanders don't believe that this was actually a terrorist plot. There is nothing that indicates this in the media around this boy, this man, 28-year-old man, that is the prime suspect here. And to top it all, and like the police asked for detention over the man, but they got unusually short time in detention. They got 1 week and 2 weeks. This means that perhaps it didn't have that much evidence, because often when there are serious crimes, you go for 4 weeks in detention. But this was not something that happened here. So we have to see how this goes. The history of attacks, of course, when it comes to politics in Iceland, are quite silly, to be honest. They are not; these are not very serious attacks. And Icelandic government and police, they don't even often indict people for it, unless it's like, unless basically, like, for example, if you burn a flag, like another country's flag, that's illegal. This can result into something. But for example, we once had a man that was threatening to blow up there was a bomb, like kind of a bomb, but wasn't really. It was like a firecracker or something, but there was a massive scare around it. And that man, was next to the prime minister's cabin, and that man wasn't even indicted for what he did. So our history of like political crimes and punishing for it is really bad, to be honest. Also because Icelanders are always like very moderate when it comes to political opinions. We don't have many extremes. We do have the Nordic Front movement or something like that. It's like a neo-Nazi nonsense from Sweden. Absolute idiots, those guys. It's like I went to, because in the beginning there was some suspicion that they were connected to this. They actually sent out a statement that they said they had no connection with this, and this has been verified but within the police. But these guys are also like, they couldn't even tie their own shoelaces without help. So it's not really a threat, to be honest. Although the neo-Nazi nonsense is a threat in itself, but they seem to be peaceful as those guys can be, I guess. But of course they are aggressive just in their ideology, and they feel like they are the real victims, like always with these whining neo-Nazis. So that's it for terrorism. The storm. There was a massive storm over the weekend. The storm was so severe that it was, I think, where it was the strongest was around 60 miles per hour. This would be around 260 kilometers, and this would be stronger than the Hurricane Fiona, which was in Canada over the weekend also. It wasn't like this strong the whole time, but these were the strongest winds that we had. It was incredible. It was terrible. It wasn't that, it was bad in this area, but the worst area was in Reykjavík, in the east of Iceland, basically. And the town that got was in the worst shape afterwards was Reykjavík. There were houses that collapsed, like very old houses though, keep in mind. And also there were around 70 tourists that actually got stuck in the cars in a place called Möðrudalsöræfi. That name is something, right? But the thing is that they were there stuck, and because this was not a snowstorm, but some kind of there was no storm, it was snow basically, that meant that there was like sand going all around, which resulted in like car windows breaking, and even like the what do you call it, like the emergency thing that blows up, that even went off and it was just like incredible. So people were very afraid of their lives there, all tourists, and I can imagine that this was an absolutely horrible experience. Now, the weather was worse than we actually expected. We hoped it was going to be better, I guess, but just a day or 2 days before, the Met office was saying this is going to be something else. And the thing is that often with tourism, it's hard to get news to people traveling. You probably just know this by yourself. When you're traveling around wherever, you're not always checking out your local news now, are you? So this was very unfortunate, in my opinion. And I've been in these storms, and they are not very comfortable, not at all. Especially when there is nothing that is shielding you, unless like in a car or something like that. I can just imagine. The insurance companies, they are saying that they have had at least tens of millions of claims already. That would be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it's pretty obvious that this will be, this is not done. We don't know the scope of how much damage there was. And they are on their way to the east to just check it out. Also, the electricity went completely off half of the country. And that was strange, to be honest. We have blackouts here and there, often in the storms, but never of half of the country, which means that the civil guard, they have asked for explanation about this, and it seems like this was a combination of bad weather, bad luck, and some kind of a chain reaction that resulted in this. So they are actually our company, state company, that provides us electricity. They are actually looking into this, but thankfully there was only a blackout within 1 hour, 1 day basically. So also like being without electricity in Iceland for a few days can be quite dangerous. You have to have a plan B because of this cold weather and so on. So it can be something. And finally, no more quakes in the east. These, I have to say, these, these earthquakes in the northeast, close to Grimsey, are odd. I mean, it's understandable that it's always, there are always quakes there because there are like two, perhaps my creatures can help me here, it's like two plates basically always fighting there and resulting in these quakes. There is a volcano in the area, but I think it's underwater in the sea, so it doesn't pose any real danger in that regard. And somehow it was, because we had like around 13,000 earthquakes in total. Many of them were well over 4 in magnitude, nothing much over 5, if any, I think. So it was better than expected. But it's always incredibly bad, actually, to have these quakes all the time. So the state of like uncertainty is not anymore. It's basically, they say it's over, but it's better to be safe than not. So if you're living there and you're watching this, then like just don't sleep under a bookshelf, basically. And also, I just want to show you, the police ball that these terrorists were actually planning to attack, like according to the police, was supposed to be there, like in this area there. I don't know if any of that is correct or not, or if these men were just saying whatever, like just frustrated, they were arrested or something. But of course, one of them had a lot of guns, and it might be more than possible that they were breaking some laws there. But a terrorist plot, I'm not sure about that. So, that's it for the newscast. Wonderful weather, wonderful day. And remember, of course, our Grapevine shop, these fantastic books, photographic books. And yes, and like and subscribe, comment if you want to comment. We love these comments. And also, so that's it. Until next time. Hvar boltinn? Tók ég hann? Nei. She lost the ball. Hvað boltinn? Hvað boltinn? Þarna hann, auðvitað. Já.